Welcome to the 32nd episode of Democracy at the Crossroads, a platform where we point out the backsliding of democracy, wherever and whenever it occurs. One of the fundamental features of democracy is the right to free speech, the right to assembly to express our point of view. These rights assume significance when the views expressed are at variance with the position or the policy of the government of the day. But such rights are sacrosanct only so long as they do not generate into hate speech or they do not incite violence. At this point of time, people across the world are assembling on the streets to demand ceasefire in brutal bombing by Israel on Gaza Strip. From Washington to Milan to Paris to Rome, hundreds of thousands of people are congregating to force the hands of their governments to demand ceasefire from the Israeli government. In London, more than 5 lakh people worked last Saturday to express solidarity with the Palestinian people. It was one of the longest marches in the history of London in the post-Second World War era. Mind you, these protests are happening in the countries which are staunch supporters of Israel, countries whose governments have not officially asked Israel to desist from genocidal warfare. The governments in most of these countries are in a bind. The Jews are in control of most of their financial institutions and corporate bodies. Did you see when students of Harvard and other Ivy League institutions protested against the mass murder by the Israeli government? The Wall Street honchos demanded the names of the anti-Israeli protesters so that they could be blacklisted from securing any job in corporate America. If this Jewish lobby can get away with doing this kind of blackmail in the United States of America, you can imagine their stranglehold over the United States economy. No wonder both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, the contenders for the forthcoming presidential election, are going out of the way to quote Israel and the Jews. This is also true of the larger Western world. leaders of both Conservative and Labour Party in Great Britain are defending the mass killings of Palestinians as Israel's right to self-defense. Clearly, the political parties in America and most other European nations across the ideological spectrum are hostage to the corporate power of Jews and perforce support Israel's genocide. But the citizens of these countries are not so insensitive. They have human values, they have moral values. They are ready to speak up. Even ordinary Jews in these countries who are not part of the corporate world are joining these protest marches to demand halt to the atrocities in Gaza. What is striking, the other day, hundreds of common citizens of Israel itself came out on the streets of Tel Aviv, its capital, to protest against the brutalities of their own government over Palestinians. They demanded immediate ceasefire and humanitarian aid for all those in Gaza who have survived the tar-pit bombardment by their own government. In the Arab world and most other Muslim countries, the reasons of popular anger are different. There, the governments have been demanding that Israel stop the killing of the innocent people in Gaza. But the citizens there want their respective governments to snap diplomatic ties with the terrorist Israel. Yes, they said the terrorist Israel. Protests are waging in every city in these countries. But it's a tragedy that in India, which boasts of a thriving democracy, there are no marches, no rallies to express solidarity with the people of Palestine. With, of course, the singular exception of the state of Kerala. In Kerala, the Muslim League had a rally against Israeli genocide last month on October 27. The ruling CPIM organized a pro-Palestine rally in Kozhikode last Saturday, November 11. The opposition Congress has announced that it will hold a rally in the same city, Kozhikode, on November 23. But why are there no protests in the other parts of our country, which is of a continental size? Are Indians afraid to speak up, lest the Hindutva bandwagon will double down on them for being pro-Muslim? Or are they so devoid of human values that they justify Israeli genocide in Gaza Strip? We must ask ourselves, why are we not coming out on the street to protest the revenge killings, the collective punishment of Palestinian people by an Israeli government led by one Benjamin Netanyahu, whom his personal psychiatrist described as a psychotic on steroids? How long will we accept in silence the genocide by a Hitler-like pathological mass murderer, Netanyahu? This is a question we must ask to ourselves when we reflect on the state of our Indian democracy.